Okay, so I wanted to do a video to clarify um, on the uses of the term Orion because I did a video recently and mentioned Orion, but I remembered when I do my research, there's so many different mixed uh, depictions of the term or the name of Orion, just like there's a polarity to everything, right? The polarity of good is evil, the polarity of evil is good, so you get positive and negative in um, expressions when it comes to God energy, of course, right? And so when I use the term Orion energy, I'm referring to the law of one, raw teachings, right? And so let me rewind because I wrote my notes and I don't want to miss anything. Orion is depicted in some cases as a hunter, in some cases as a good superhero, as a star that hunts the Pleiades, which is the seven sisters, or the seven stars. And history says that Zeus turned them into the seven stars to protect them from Orion. So that gives me an ideal that it's being depicted in a negative way, but then there's other things that I learned during research where people or studies refer to this Orion energy as a good energy, a protector energy, stuff like that. So that's why I always say when we conjure up certain energies or tap into Akashic or the spirit realm, we have to really focus on our intentions and our vibrations or our feelings. Because based on our feelings, our conditioning, our intentions, and all those things energetically, we can conjure up good or evil, right? But if you believe, like I believe, that all things work together for my good because I love God, which just means that I love God that is self and as within, so it is without, as above, so it is below, right? So I'm always protected by my proclamation that I am love and nothing separates me from the love of God and all things work together for my good. So when I see a shadow or I have a bad dream or I have a bad feeling, I trust that there's a lesson in it. I trust that if I'm going through a valley, I'm going to get value from it, whether it be the dark night of the soul or the valley of the shadow of death, where I shall fear no evil, for love is with me and nothing separates me from love, period. Okay? Period. So, anyway, I'm not afraid of snake energy. I'm not afraid of any of those things. I do respect it in the physical and in the natural. So I won't be handling snakes without respect for the damage that they can do, because there's a polarity to the fact that we love snakes, but a snake can bite you, and, you know, dealing with certain things like that or energies like that or animals like that without respect, you are basically pressing the reset button, like, okay, I'm ready to reincarnate, right? So anyway, um let's see. So when I mention the Orion energy, I am referring to the law of one teachings about service to self, which is the negative polarity of service to self. The positive polarity to service to self is self love. The negative polarity can turn into a whole nother different thing. Okay, so I read that in book 1, session 7, in the law of one, Ra indicated that Orion was the source of some of the contacts with UFOs. Ooh, okay. But what was the purpose of this contact or this communication with the aliens or the UFOs or whatever, right? So the intention was to presumably unify by a distortion complex called the elite, right? And so this means that we are considering ourselves higher than we ought by considering ourselves higher or better than the next man when I am God and you are God. So it is okay to have good self esteem, but not to consider yourself higher than you ought, right? But anyway, this means that a select group that is considered superior in terms of their ability and qualities to the rest of the group or society will be enslaved by various effects, right? And so those who are seen by a distortion as not elite, those are the ones that are going to be enslaved. But the problem with this service to self, right? This Orion group, it's also called Orion group. The problem with this is that is a separation, and so the members of the Orion group will not be harmonized, right? And so it makes me think of a scripture that talks about a kingdom divided against itself will fall. So I noticed this kind of division or denomination when it comes to religion. And that is why I no longer ascribe to the worship of Jesus, okay, or any antichrist legalistic dogma. That is why I don't subscribe to it anymore, right? I believe in all things, but I don't subscribe to a legalistic, dogmatic doctrine or conformity, okay, to any belief system, because it that Orion group be like, okay, you scribe to it, I got you. I'm coming in and I'm coming in to enslave you, right? But your ability to accept and receive the Christ consciousness in self as God sets the captive free. And if you're captive, held captive by the Orion group, the truth is coming to set you free. And if you clicked on this video, the truth is coming to set you free. All right. So anyway, that let me not go ahead of myself. I was getting ready to say something. I view all of these social constructs as the Hasatan to individual divine purpose. That's what I was going to say. I didn't realize I was reading it. I can't read my handwriting sometimes. But anyway, self-love is good, but the intention behind it might be service to self, which again is a distorted God complex that divides the elite from those considered not non-elite in order to enslave them with various conditionings, various ways of doing that. So my higher self calls this the snake devouring the tail. Okay, and so that's all I wanted to just clarify on my page, on my YouTube channel, why I use the term Orion, because there's different ways, and a lot of times you mention certain things and people hear you, they're like, oh, she don't know what she's talking about, because they did research and they found one thing, right, and they hear you talking about another thing. So you can't just research one thing. You got to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, because there's so many different perspectives, and there's so many, and then you have the polarity of those perspectives, right? So when you talking to somebody, don't look to find fault, because then there's no added increase to your wisdom. Always ask questions as to why they're saying what they're saying and how they view the terms that they're using. So pick up these pearls and rock them, beloved. Peace.